Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to this final episode of Firebase Anonymous Authentication. So without further ado, let's jump right into the code. Okay, in the previous episode I have shown you how you can set this default, or let's call it an example project, and how you can set up let me just go there, your authentication in the Firebase project. And of course we have linked that to our Xcode project too by doing some stuff with the Google Service Info plist file and so on. If you are not familiar with this setup, go ahead and take a look at it in the previous video. Okay, now it's time to finally handle the login button tab and the logout button tab. So let's do it, and let's start with the login button tab. Okay, now what we want to do is first of all make sure that we are importing Firebase Auth. So just type in import and Firebase Auth. Okay, that's taken care of. Now we are able to log in. So let's create an auth. Let auth.auth. So that is our auth from Firebase. Now Firebase makes this super simple. It's kind of really shaming that this is so simple to do. Auth.sign in anonymously and use this with the completion handler, and we get back an auth data result callback, and let's see here that has a result and an error. Okay, first of all we want to check for the error. So as usual, if let error equals error, then we will just simply print out our errors localized description. There we go. And of course we want to return, because if we don't have an error, then we can check the result, or maybe not. You could check the auth result, but it's not really important. We can safely say that now we are signed in. So let's just print out here auth. There we go. Okay, and yeah, that is basically it for our sign in. And let's just handle the log out button here too. Well, that is pretty easy too. What we want to do is, again, let's create our auth. That is auth.auth. If I could type in correctly today. There we go. And we want to wrap this in a do try catch statement, because we might get an error here. So just type in do and have this automatically added by Xcode. So we are trying to sign out. So auth.sign out. There we go. And as you can see, here we can see that it throws an error. That is why we need to add this to a do try catch statement. Okay, there we go. And in the pattern, let's add in here an error, and we want to just simply print out the error localized description. There we go. And maybe after the try we will just simply print out successfully logged out, or rather yet, let's just type in here signed out of Firebase Auth. Okay, so that is it. Let's see how this works, but don't click away just yet, because there is one important factor here, and we will talk about this after we just test all of this out. So let's click on log in anonymously. There we go. Let's see the logs, and it says successfully signed in to Firebase Auth, and let's just double check if we do get a user here. There we go. It is, and yeah, maybe let's just print out this UID, maybe, or maybe not. We will handle that in the section what I was referring to just a minute. And finally, let's just log out. There we go. Let's click on log out, and it says successfully signed out of Firebase Auth. Okay, that is it for logging in and logging out, but you are not going to ask for your users each and every time to log in or maybe log out when they hit up your app or leave their app. So that is where listeners come in, and that is an auth state did change listener handler. I know it's a mouthful, but we are going to cover that right here. So let's just scroll all the way up to our view controller class, and let's add in here a variable, and it will be an auth state did change handler. And it will be an auth state did change listener handler. So I will just rename this to make it more like the class name. So I will copy this and paste that in there, make it a small a here, and I will make this, I won't create it just yet, I will make this as an optional. So we want to listen for these changes if anyone just logged in or logged out. And the best way to do this is to start listening when the view will appear and stop listening when the view did disappear. So in the life cycle, and usually under our view did load, let's override our view will appear. Where is that? View will appear. There we go. Let's call super view will appear animated. There we go. So what we want to do here is basically initialize that auth did change state handler listener. So let's just type in here auth state did change listener handler, and let's create it. Auth add state did change listener. Okay, and here we have a block. Let me just scroll that a little bit up so you can see. We are having an auth here, and we are having a user. Okay, and here we are basically want to know what the user is all about. If you recall, the user was an optional. We don't really care about the auth right now. So let's see. If user is not equal to nil, then, and if you can see, I have this not equal changed, and that is because I have custom font. Though I go ahead and take a look at how you can add an Atom 1 dark mode to your Xcode project, and you will see all of these cool fonts. Again, let me just type that in, exclamation mark, and there we go, and it changes automatically. It's much more readable. So if the user is not nil, then we do get a user, and rather yet, let's just check if it is nil. And if it is nil, then we know that we are logged out. Let's just print out here, print user is nil. Otherwise, we want to guard let unwrap our user. So guard let user equals user, because of course this is an optional, and we want to get the user's UID because basically that is what the anonymous user has. So let UID equals user.uid. There we go. Else we just want to simply return. Okay, we don't want to go further. And now that we have our UID, let's just print out like found user with UID, and we will just pass on the UID there. Okay, one last thing I want to add in here is maybe some design stuff, because maybe we want to go here, and when the user is near, we want to show the login button, but we don't want to show the logout button. So let's type in login button alpha equals 1.0 logout button dot alpha value equals 0.0, and because we are starting off with a logout, we basically don't know if we are logged in or logged out. We will set the logout button alpha to 0. Before we do that, let's just add these selves here because we are inside the closure. So let's just scroll all the way up to our logout button and set our button's alpha value to 0.0. Okay, that is the default. Okay, what else do we want to add in here? Well, we want to set the title of our navigation controller, because we do have that. We will set this to user is logged out. Let me just add in here the string interpolation. Okay, and let's do all of these for our logged in user. I would just copy and paste that in there and change the values to 0 and 1 to login button and logout button respectively. And for the title, I will just simply add in here our UID. Okay, UID, there we go. And let's see, maybe we need to cast this as a string, but let's just hit Command B and see if it is. Well, yes, it must have an optional, so this is basically not an optional. Oh, I recall the email was optional if we wanted to do that. Okay, and this is a string. Let's see if it is. There we go. It is a string, so great. Okay, now one last thing we want to do before we test this out is add the remove state did change listener, and that will be in the view will disappear. So let's just scroll a little bit down and add in here view will disappear. So again, super view will disappear animated. There we go. So what we want to do here is remove that listener. So let's just type in auth remove state did change listener, and we will add in here that auth state did change listener handle. And as you can see, this is again an optional, and this remove state did change listener function requires a non-optional value. So let's let unwrap that, and I will just copy and paste these values here equals again the same thing, and else we just simply want to return. We don't want to do anything if this is nil. Okay, so well, basically that is it. Let's just hit Command B or tap on that play button, and let's see how this all works out. Okay, it says user is logged out, and if you recall, we indeed did log out in the previous build. And let's have this login and on button tapped. Let's just wait a little bit, and there we go. We have our UID. The login button just disappeared, and we have our logout button. So let's just check if that UID is correct. Let's refresh in Firebase, the console. There we go, 7P0, and indeed that is what no, that was the recent one. This is TUL. So let's just log out, and user is logged out, log in anonymously. And of course, all of this is logged in the console. Now that is it for anonymous login, logout, and state did change listeners. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell to get notified of new awesome videos as they do come out. Now this is your time. Go ahead and implement anonymous log in, log out into your apps with Firebase. And go ahead and comment down below if you do have any questions. And as usual, I will see you in the next one.